Okay, welcome to this video of how to fit a MIVV exhaust to a Ducati Supersport S. The Ducati Supersport and the Ducati Supersport S are effectively the same bike, same power. Pretty much only the difference is the adjustable suspension on the Supersport S. Really nimble bike, great for all biking enthusiasts. I think the only challenge with it is how the Supersport sounds, and it needs a little bit more sporty feel to it. And today we're going to be fitting a Italian MIVV exhaust. Okay, let's fire the Ducati Supersport S up with its standard exhaust and see how it sounds. Okay, by the end of this video we'll have the MIVV on, and let's see if we made it sound more Ducati-like. By the way, forgot to introduce my grandson, Noah. Say hello, Noah. Let's crack on. So what's in the box? Check the link below for the link to this MIVV full exhaust system. Let's check it out. So we've unpacked the box. We've got pretty cool engineered carbon silencer, MIVV Italian style, connecting piece, cat, downpipe from both cylinders, relevant bracketry, clamps, springs, and the bolts and spacers that we should need. Let's make a start. Okay, so we've got a pretty self-explanatory drawing of where all of the components go within the kit. You can see that we're keeping a couple of the existing pipes which come straight out the exhaust port. Okay, so we need to remove the original stock exhaust, which connects to the downpipe down here underneath the bike, and from the other cylinder from here. So to make things easier, we're going to take off the foot pegs using an Allen key. Let's make a start. Good work, Noah. Let's take it out. Okay. Okay, we've undone it. You can take that away now and go and place it neatly for putting back on later on. And I always like to clean as we go. Okay, that's good. Take that one away and stick it neatly so we know where it is for reassembling later. Okay, to get to the clamp that's holding the exhaust on, I think we need to take this heat shield away using an Allen key. Okay, so we're just taking the heat shield off. Important not to lose the screws because they can be tiny and fiddly, so be really, really careful. Yep, no, you just put them screws down in the safe area for us. So it just comes out the top way is easiest. Okay, having removed the heat shield, it looks like we can get to the clamp from the manifold to the expansion chamber, and it also looks like we can get to the expansion chamber bracket here. Yeah, it's pretty stiff, that one, Noah. Okay, that seemed pretty loose. Okay, for access on this exhaust mounting, we've had to switch Allen key. And a little bit fiddly, but finally, out she comes. Noah, can you put that in the safe zone, please, my man? Okay, next task is just take the spring off using a pair of long nose pliers. And we'll check the drawing to see whether we're going to need this again later. Keep it safe. Okay, next we need to remove the brackets from the bike to the expansion chamber. Same on this side of the bike. Keeping everything safe. I don't think we'll need this later, but still. Just a little tip. You can see that everything that we've taken off the bike so far, we keep neat and tidy. Okay, in theory at this point, we've kind of got undone everything we need to undo, but of course the exhaust got to come backwards out of this downpipe and downwards out of that downpipe. So in order to give it some movement, what we're going to have to do is loosen this downpipe, and we're going to do that by, I've already taken this one out, but taking the bolts out of this heat shield and maybe taking this oil pipe out, and ultimately what we need to do is loosen, be able to get in and loosen the 4 exhaust manifold nuts to create some looseness on the downpipe, so we can then shimmy out the exhaust section. So I said I'd already taken that one out. Let's remove this one too. And I think when we put all this back together, just a little bit of thread lube, just to make sure that these things don't seize up over the use. Okay, now this time this one's not going to slide out, I don't think, because we've got this exhaust sensor, probably an O2 sensor. I'm hoping we don't have to take that out. Bottom clamp's just in here. It's like a flat. just to loosen this off. Okay, so by loosening that bottom clamp off, that's like this part of the heat shield. It's a bit fiddly, but it just comes out. See, one little tip is, despite the clamp being really loose, the exhaust is still solid. So I'm just going to get a little bit of WD-40 working while I'm still loosening off the exhaust manifold. So we'll go ahead and take that seat off. Somewhere clean and out the way, and it should just let a little bit more light in to the area that we're working on. So I'm still struggling to get to the manifold bolts from this side, so I'm going to go ahead and take this oil exhaust off. I've got a rag to hand just in case there's any drops of oil in there, just to plug it and keep it from dripping. Okay, so I think with a little bit of patience and a 10mm spanner, we've been able to maybe loosen the exhaust manifold off just enough to be able to slip the pipework out. So with a little bit of wiggling, you can see that this is starting to move. The problem is wiggling and filming at the same time. Okay, you can see that we've managed to wiggle the exhaust expansion chamber down off the downpipe, and you can see that where it was mounted to come away. So I've now just got to wiggle backwards in that direction. Okay. We've managed to shuffle the exhaust back. It's more difficult than you think because of this inner flange. But you can see that we've now done it. Okay. So, there it was. And there's actually more weight in that exhaust than you'd think, so you're saving a bit of weight by changing that out. All we've done is we've taken this pipe section and one Jubilee clip. We've put the Jubilee clip in position. It's just loose here at the moment, it's going to slide up. And we're just now shimmying the new pipe section into position. It's taking a little bit of shimmying. Okay, that was difficult. What we had to do is we just had to pry and flex that down whilst engaging this part of the pipe to the down pipe and this part of the pipe to the down pipe. And it was actually a three-man job. Somebody holding the brake on the bike so the bike didn't move. Somebody just feeding that part of the exhaust flange in, and somebody feeding this part of the exhaust flange in. Oh, with a little bit of WD-40, just a bit of a lubrication, which is what's on the floor. Next part is we'll clamp this up from the clamp that we put on earlier. Okay, so I'm just holding the clip square with my left hand in position at the top of the exhaust pipe, while we use a 13mm socket T-bar to do the clamp nice and snug. Okay, so now we've got to make sure that when we slacken the exhaust manifold off with the 3 nuts, they've now all got to be firmly put back in position in all 3 nuts, going evenly with a good even pressure. Okay, we're now going to get the oil overflow pipe back in. Don't do what I did and put the heat shield and bolt it up first, because then the pipe won't go back in. So I've just undone that for the purpose of just popping this oil pipe back into position. Okay, once you've got the oil pipe back into position, don't forget just to nip up the Jubilee clip. Okay, and then get your heat shield on with your 2 screws. Not as easy just to find the location because they're kind of blind screws. Remember to put a little bit of lubricant on your screws so they don't seize up in future. And then this second one, don't forget, do that like so. Find its location and nip up that heat shield. Don't forget this part of the heat shield again. A little bit of WD. WD works on everything just to make sure the components are nice and clean before we put them back on the bike. I'm going to feed the heat shield in from this side. Make sure it goes under the Jubilee clip and then that hole aligns here. And then using your screwdriver and your Jubilee clip from the underside, you can nip up that clip. Quick clean of the heat shield before it goes back on. Okay, so we're just going to feed this heat shield around the chassis. And then use our 2 bolts with a 4mm Allen key, tiny little bit of lubricant. Let's get them back into position. Just nip them up, not too tight, but certainly enough. Don't forget a bike vibrates. I don't think we need any Loctite for this, just a really good nip. Okay, this is an important point. Remember this bracket that was holding the old Ducati exhaust manifold on? Actually came from here, but that's not just bolting the exhaust on, it's also going from the chassis and holding the engine on. So what I've done is I've found a bolt which actually compensates for that in terms of length. So again, tiny little lubricant just on that. And we're gonna make sure we bolt through back from chassis to engine. In terms of the spring, we're actually using the original spring that came off the original exhaust. So just in case, hooking around there, using some long nose pliers or a spring puller, pulling and putting in position. So we've now got to get the exhaust bracket on. I'm fairly certain that we need to set the exhaust up first and then we can actually take off these bolts and re-put the seat stays on should you ever want to ride pillion. But for the time being, we're just going to use these bolts, probably temporary, as we set the exhaust position up. Okay, so we're going to put this bracket on using this nut from the other side. But for the time being, I'm just going to put this on finger tight while we set the position of the can up. So we've got our pretty cool looking MIVV carbon can and your catalytic converter, which lies down the pipe and in like so. Please be advised that I don't think it's legal in the UK to not put your catalytic converter in, although I am aware that the odd person doesn't. So once that's bottomed out, a couple of things to do now. One is just adjust your bracket and put your last couple of bolts in, and the other one is to put the spring across. So there's a rubber tube which the spring goes in, so I've spent probably about 3 or 4 minutes just working the tube down the spring centrally. I'm not too sure actually what this is for. I'm guessing it's to reduce vibration, noise and that kind of thing, who knows. Okay, so once we've got that nice and central, we've just got to use the long nose pliers or the spring puller to get that in location. It's pretty stiff. You want to be careful doing that job so it doesn't spring back. Okay, so take out the bolts that were supplied with the can And don't forget to take the locking washers with you as well. And then we'll finish off setting up the location on the bracket. So just while we do this, I've actually got all the bracketry just finger tight so it'll move around. One thing I didn't like about the MIV kit is that I didn't like the idea of the metal being straight on the carbon exhaust. So I've got some high temperature washers which I'm just going to fashion between. So again, don't forget your locking washer. Don't forget a tiny little lubricant just on the thread. And we're going to use just set high temperature washer while we find the location. Okay, you can see that we installed the bracket onto the carbon fibre can using the high temperature rubber washers, which I think is a good idea. What we actually did, just to make it all go in snugly, is just undo this bolt while we were getting it all secure. So we'll drop that back in now. So now we've nipped this one up and this one up. Not too tight because we haven't got our pillion stays back on if we want them yet. But we didn't need them just while we were setting things up. So we're just now nipping this one up because this one is in final position. So in terms of the exhaust, we've finished fitting. And I think we can all say that it looks a hell of a lot cooler than the factory fitted system. So all we now need to do is replace our seat and our pillion stays should you want them, and let's fire this thing up and see how it sounds before we get it out on the open road. Okay, so we wanted a little bit more sound out of this bike because everything else about the SuperSportS S is really great, but you just want more of a sporty feeling. Let's see if the MIVV exhaust system has achieved it. So it's just worth mentioning that MIVV send a warranty card, so we're going to register the warranty on this exhaust, and also a couple of cool decals that you can choose to put on your bike if you wish or not. But overall, I think this is a pretty cool exhaust system, and it's probably right for the Ducati Supersport. And we'll do one more take, maybe on another video or later on this one, when we'll get it on the open road. Thanks for watching Talk with Choppy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe below. I look forward to seeing you again soon.